Have you ever felt like a piece of your life's puzzle was missing? That's how Amelia felt. For years, she believed the official story. Her father, a brilliant investigative journalist, died in a tragic car accident. It was a neat, tidy explanation that never quite settled in her heart. Something was always off. The memories of her father were vibrant, a man who chased truth with a fiery passion, who taught her to question everything. An accident seemed too simple, too random for a man who lived his life with such purpose. One rainy Tuesday, a day just like any other, a package arrived. No return address, just her name scrawled on a plain brown box. Inside was a leather-bound journal, her father's journal, the last one he was working on before he died. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The pages were filled with his familiar handwriting, detailing his final investigation into a powerful corporation, Omnicorp, and its charismatic but ruthless CEO, Alastair Finch. He wrote about uncovering a massive financial fraud, a scheme that could bring the entire company down. The final entry was chilling. They know I'm close. I've been followed. If something happens to me, it won't be an accident. Suddenly, the neat, tidy story of her father's death shattered. It wasn't an accident. It was a murder. A cold rage she never knew she possessed began to burn within her. The police had closed the case years ago, ruling it an unfortunate mishap. Now, Amelia knew they had been either incompetent or complicit. Justice had been denied, and she was the only one left to demand it. But how? She was just a librarian, facing a corporate giant with endless resources and a history of making problems disappear. Driven by a newfound purpose, Amelia started digging. She retraced her father's steps, using his journal as a guide. She visited old contacts, many of whom slammed doors in her face, their eyes filled with fear. The name Omnicorp was a wall she couldn't seem to break through. Every lead was a dead end. Despair began to set in. Was she just chasing shadows, destined to fail just like her father? One evening, while poring over her father's notes in a quiet cafe, a man approached her table. He was tall, with a weary look in his eyes that she recognized instantly. It was the same look she saw in her own reflection. He introduced himself as Ethan. He said, "You're Robert's daughter, aren't you?" "I knew your father." Ethan explained that his own father, a senior accountant at Omnicorp, had been her father's secret informant. He had been the one to leak the initial documents, and shortly after her father's death, Ethan's father had vanished without a trace, presumed to have taken his own life. Ethan, like Amelia, never believed it. For the first time, Amelia wasn't alone in her fight. Ethan shared the other half of the story, the inside perspective of Omnicorp's corruption. He had spent years quietly gathering his own evidence, waiting for the right moment. Together, they were stronger. They combined her father's journalistic evidence with Ethan's insider knowledge, piecing together the full extent of Alastair Finch's crimes. They discovered a hidden server, a digital treasure trove of incriminating data that could prove everything. But Finch was always one step ahead. He knew they were getting close. Their apartments were broken into, they were followed, and veiled threats became part of their daily lives. The pressure was immense. It was a high-stakes chess match where one wrong move could be their last. They had to get the data and deliver it to the one person they could trust, a respected journalist who had once been her father's protege. The night they decided to act was dark and stormy, almost poetic. They infiltrated the Omnicorp headquarters, a gleaming tower that represented everything they fought against. Navigating security systems and dodging patrols, their hearts pounded with a mix of terror and adrenaline. They reached Finch's office, the heart of the beast, and found the server. As Ethan frantically downloaded the files, the office doors burst open. Alastair Finch stood there, flanked by security, a smug smile on his face. He thought he had won, but he had underestimated them. While Ethan was the distraction, Amelia had already slipped away with a duplicate data drive. As Finch cornered Ethan, believing he had the only copy, Amelia was already streets away, racing to deliver the truth. The next morning, the story broke. It was an explosion. News channels, online articles, social media, everyone was talking about the Omnicorp scandal. Finch's empire, built on lies and intimidation, crumbled in a matter of hours. Justice, it turned out, wasn't a single moment of victory. It was a long, arduous journey. Seeing Finch taken away in handcuffs brought a sense of closure, but the scars remained. Amelia and Ethan had not only exposed a criminal, but they had also honored their father's legacies. They had picked up the torch and carried it to the finish line. Their shared burden had forged an unbreakable bond. Standing together, they knew their fathers would be proud. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming power, the truth, when wielded by those with courage, is the most powerful weapon of all. Thank you so much for watching. If you were moved by this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. See you next time.